And now we continue with the rest of the list. I actually ran out of space on the previous video, so we're moving on now with the rest of Phil Smith's 30 Memories up to becoming 30 years old. The next one we have is DVDs. As you know, I am a huge movie buff, and in the 80s and early 90s, I had most of my collection on VHS tape. I had a huge VHS collection. Subsequently, as technology continued to expand, we got DVDs. It was basically a smaller version of Laserdiscs. Of course, I own a lot of Laserdiscs too and have a Laserdisc player, but DVDs gave a presentation of a much higher quality. They put in a lot of new bonus features, some of which had never been seen on the Laserdisc versions of films, and I'm proud to say that when DVD hit, I did not get immediately into owning them, but about maybe 3-4 years after I did. In the summer of 2000, right after my sophomore year of high school, my mom and dad finally got me a DVD player, and I remember the very first DVD I bought was actually one of my favorite 90s movies, Can't Hardly Wait. Now, this isn't the actual DVD that I bought. This is a 10-year anniversary edition that came out in 2008, but that was the first movie I owned on DVD, and I think throughout that summer, right before I went back to high school for my junior year, I probably at that point owned about 25-30 DVDs, and I still have a bunch of DVDs in my collection. I'll show you here exactly what I've got right now. I have a nice little setup here with my two towers here and my little TV cart. I own a lot of DVDs still. I also got into Blu-ray back in, I believe it was 2010, when I bought my PlayStation 3 up there. I'm also a big fan of collector's editions and box sets. One of my prized possessions up here that I picked up last fall was the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 40th Anniversary Blu-ray DVD Ultimate Collector's Edition. A lot of cool goodies in that box set. I really enjoyed it. It's a really pristine quality presentation of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But again, just still own a lot of DVDs. Love collecting DVDs, love going to places like Zia Records to get a lot of inexpensive movies that I love, some of which I've been very fortunate to find for a fraction of the original price, and they're still in great quality. So DVDs, big part about my growing up, almost 30 years now. Next thing we have, one of my favorite bands of all time, actually my favorite band of all time, number one, The Who. Now, I've always been the kind of person who was never a big radio listener. However, my parents raised me on a lot of classic rock, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, a little bit of Steely Dan, some Bonnie Raitt, a little bit of Aerosmith, and I remember one of the big ones was The Who. Hearing them a lot on the radio when my dad played a mix cassette tape he had made. And eventually it was in college, after listening a lot to a Yahoo online radio that unfortunately they don't have. It was called Launchcast Radio. I listened to a lot of Who on that online radio. And in about winter, I believe just before I left for my winter vacation during my fourth year of college, my roommate Rusty, at the time his girlfriend Sage, got me a very nice little gift for Hanukkah, actually. And what that was the Kids Are Alright special edition DVD. This was the Who's rockumentary that came out in 1970, I believe 79. Yeah, 1979, and it was one of the best things that a just up-and-coming Who fan could have had in his collection, because it really was kind of like a time capsule of everything they've ever done. And I love this DVD, and you know, it's a double discer packed with bonus features, a lot of great rarities and live performances within this. From that, I went on to get some more Who stuff, including lots of full-length albums, a lot of purchases on DVD, such as the Who Quadrophenia and Tommy Live DVD box set. Also, one of my favorite things that they put out back in, I think this was 2007, was Amazing Journey. The Story of the Who was a VH1 special 2-hour feature that they had made all about the Who and their legacy. Love it. And of course, the big thing of all was seeing The Who not even a full year after having become a fan. In September of 2006, I was fortunate enough to see The Who live, the first show of their first world tour that year, 2006 to 2007, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with my friend Zach Tice at the First Union Center. We were floor level, maybe about 15-20 rows away from the stage. Amazing show, absolutely incredible, and my love of The Who reigns supreme. You know, it really continues to grow. I've been fortunate enough to actually see The Who twice now. I saw them in 2006 in Philadelphia, and then my girlfriend Kelly and I saw them here performing my favorite album of all time, Quadrophenia, which I own on vinyl. Very happy about that. Also in the special director's cut edition, thanks to my best friend Paul for buying that for me last year. Or it might have been 2011. Not quite sure if it was 2012, 2011, but I own the Director's Cut Box Set Collector's Edition of Quadrophenia as well. They performed this at the Hard Rock Hotel at the Joint Concert Arena. Kelly and I had an absolute blast seeing them live, and I also was fortunate enough in 2011 to see Roger Daltrey that October perform Tommy live at the Joint. I got to see that for free. A friend of mine, a former coworker, actually managed to get us in for free. That was amazing. And, you know, again, with my love of classic rock, The Who will always be #1 at the top of that list. So, once again, The Who. Next thing we have, high school dances. That was a big thing for me. In high school, we had, I believe, 3 dances every year. We had a winter dance, a Valentine's dance, and a spring fling dance. And that's one thing about me that I just absolutely love. I love going to dances, and it was a real, you know, unfortunate shame that in college they really didn't do any dances unless you were part of a fraternity or a sorority. So that's one thing I unfortunately had to miss out on once I got to college. But in high school, that was the big thing for me. Going to these dances, you know, just cutting loose, listening to great music put on by great DJs that we had, one of which was a former student I was really good friends with, a guy named Matt Kuwald. And he performed a DJ set that year, my freshman year, back in 1999. At the Winter Dance, and he just did an absolutely awesome job, and just getting to dance with people was a blast for me. You know, I remember that was the era where we heard a lot of music. There was the swing revival, and a lot of songs by Brian Setzer Orchestra, and the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, Royal Crown Review, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy were all getting heavy airplay, and they would play those songs at the dances, and I just get into the swing of it, baby. Get into the swing. And that's one thing I still try to get as much of an opportunity to do when I can. Usually when the Spasmatics play at the South Point, I love getting out on the dance floor to dance that, and I'll definitely be doing that on my birthday on Saturday, July 20th, 2013. Be there. Spasmatics at the South Point for Phil Smith's 30th birthday bash. Next thing we have, in the realm of classic rock, once again, we've got the next favorite band of that era for me, Queen. Now, this one I have to really attribute to my former coworker at CBS Television City, Tom Reese. He, in 2009, got me heavily interested in the music of Kiss. And then the next year, he, in my opinion, did one better by getting me hooked on the music of Queen. And, you know, I'm one of those guys who, like with the Rolling Stones, I'm not like a huge fan, but I know a lot of their greatest hits. And for Queen, that's pretty much the way it was. You know, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, Bohemian Rhapsody, Fat Bottom Girls, another one, Bites the Dust. But I never really owned any full-length albums, and Tom Reese really got me interested in that. And one major thing I love about Kelly is the fact that we're huge fans of Queen. In fact, she bought me this book. It's Queen, the Ultimate Illustrated History of the Crown Kings of Rock. I own a lot of Queen albums, a lot of Queen documentaries that I'm proud to, you know, watch anytime I get a chance to. Great tributes to Freddie Mercury. And even on my iPod, I've got, you know, tons of videos from Queen that I can, you know, just watch at the push of a button. So Queen, huge part of my 30 years growing up. Next thing we have Booth's Corner Farmers Market in Delaware, just a little before the border between Delaware and Pennsylvania. There was this old Amish farmers market that my mom used to take me to almost every Saturday growing up as a kid. Booth's Corner Farmers Market. It was just a really fun place to do some grocery shopping. They had some fun stuff there for kids. They had like a little arcade, antique stores, you know, sort of a miniature downtown marketplace where they sold a lot of old used books and even videos. And that's just something that I always remember having to do on a Saturday with my mother. You know, I'd wake up maybe around like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then about, 12 noon, we'd head on over to Booth's Corner Farmers Market, have some lunch at this little countertop place that they had there. Remember getting a lot of good burgers and chicken sandwiches there. There's also a really good Cajun roast beef place where that was my first time trying Cajun food, and it was very, very spicy. I never expected it to be that spicy, but it was very tasty. And I was actually fortunate enough, I don't have it here unfortunately, I think it's still back east, but there was this clay store where this woman made a lot of clay sculptures. And one time my mom went there and said, "Can you make a sculpture of a Volkswagen for my son and make it look like Herbie the Love Bug?" And the woman said, "Sure, as long as you bring a photo for reference." So my mom told me, she was going to do this for me, have this done. So just bring in your video covers for the Herbie movies that you have to use for reference. And she painted a clay Volkswagen to look like Herbie. That was like my first Herbie toy that, I had. And I'm sure it's still back east. Not sure exactly where it is, but one of these days, I hope to have it out here again and, take some picture of it to show you. But Booth's Corner Farmers Market, a real treasure of my childhood. Next thing, another big treasure from my childhood, Rehoboth Beach in Delaware. There were a lot of summers, I'd say, from about when I was 3 till 14, 15. Where my parents and I every summer would go out to Rehoboth Beach in Wilmington, Delaware, and we would usually stay at this place. I believe it was called the Admiral Motel, one of those kind of, nostalgic 70s hotels, maybe from the 60s even, right out by the boardwalk. You could walk right outside and then up a set of steps. There was the boardwalk right there. There was the ocean. It's one of the most beautiful beaches ever that I had an opportunity to go to as a kid. And I remember the arcades that I always would love playing in, and the saltwater taffy, Dolly's saltwater taffy. The Candy Kitchen made some great fudge and saltwater taffy, and I take a lot of good memories, a lot of stuff. If I could really paint the perfect picture, it would be just a picture of the ocean at about maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon at Rehoboth Beach, because I think that was the time where it looked the most beautiful. And then I think we may have gone one last time that I can recall, right after I learned how to drive. This was back in, I think, the summer of 2000. Yeah, right before I started my junior year of high school. My dad said to me, "I want you to drive back." I said, "Okay, I'll drive back from Rehoboth Beach," and it was awesome. It was just a great thrill. And again, Rehoboth Beach, just one of the most beautiful beaches. If you get a chance, look up some pictures on Google image search or YouTube videos for it. It's a great, great beach to go to when you're on the East Coast. Highly recommend it. Another great place that I'll mention here that's on the list, Atlantic City. That was another one my parents and I, we'd usually go to that place twice a year. Sometimes we would go in the late fall, just before winter set in. My dad usually had a lot of chip collectors meetings to go to down there. So while he'd be at his meetings for a couple hours, my mom and I would go just walking around the boardwalk of Atlantic City and shopping at the Ocean One Mall that was there. I remember they had a really huge arcade that I loved playing at, and they had a really cool food court too, where once you got your food, they had, I think, 3 or 4 floors there. So you could actually walk up a set of stairs to the very, very top floor, and they had just a huge set of windows that you could sit next to and just look out at the ocean, look out at the sand, the beach. It was beautiful. Again, I love these East Coast beaches just so much, primarily because it's never too hot where it's unbearable. You just walk out there and lie on a beach towel, lie on a blanket, bask in the sun, look out at the water, go swimming. It's just beautiful. I really, really love those East Coast beaches that I had an opportunity to go to with my parents when I was a little kid, and I'm glad they're a part of this list. Next thing we have, someone I've been talking about a lot lately on Facebook, and that is Mel Brooks. Now, Mel Brooks is someone who I knew nothing about until after pre-first, when the very first friend I made, Joseph Killey, invited my family and I to his place during that summer, 1990, for a barbecue. And during the end of the meal, he said, "Have you ever seen Young Frankenstein?" And I was like, "I've never even heard of Young Frankenstein." He says, "Let's watch it." And it was one of the funniest movies I'd ever seen. As a 7-year-old kid, I was laughing my butt off. My mom and dad were enjoying it as well. My mom actually saw it in the theater and was just laughing hysterically. And I always said, I wanted to have that movie afterwards. So my mom bought me a VHS tape, and then subsequently they put out a collector's edition on DVD, which I bought as well. And then I heard that they were doing a completely revamped, full of new bonus features Blu-ray edition of the film, and I said, if I ever get a Blu-ray player, then that's going to be the very first movie I buy, and I did. When I got my PlayStation 3, which has a Blu-ray player built into it, I said, that's it. I'm going to buy Young Frankenstein on Blu-ray. And Mel Brooks' work, ever since I first saw Young Frankenstein, I said, I want to see more of what this guy's done. So from that, I saw Silent Movie, High Anxiety, History of the World Part 1, Blazing Saddles, Producers, Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights, Dracula Dead and Loving It. Very last film, set of films I saw, 12 Chairs and Life Stinks. And it's just been an incredible journey, the love I have for this man and his movies. The Producers, the very first film he ever did, was recently put out on Blu-ray by Shout Factory, a very good DVD company, puts out a lot of rare and classic films. Completely revamped with better picture quality and sound, and packed with new bonus features. They really did a great job on The Producers here, I gotta say. It was, I remember for the longest time, one of the most requested movies for DVD. It was only available on VHS for a very long time, but The Producers is one of the best ones, and I've always wanted a chance to actually meet Mel Brooks, just tell him how much his work has been appreciated, how much I admire him as an artist. And while I've never had a chance to meet him, I did have a chance to write to him and put in a request for an autograph. And while it wasn't a personally autographed photo, I'm glad to say that I still got a very nice black and white photograph here that says, "All the best, Mel Brooks." And there actually was a letter that came with it that said, "Dear Mel Brooks fan, thank you for taking the time and trouble to send your letter. Presently, Mr. Brooks is unable to provide you with a personalized autograph. Please find enclosed a photo on behalf of Mr. Brooks. Thank you for your kind words and continued support. Sincerely, Shelby Van Villay, assistant to Mel Brooks." So, can't complain about that. I still have a very, very lovely photo of the man, Mel Brooks, autographed. So, very happy about that. Mel Brooks, big part of my life. Next thing we have, karaoke. Again, with someone, like me, loving to sing, loving to, put my talent out there on the stage. Karaoke became a huge part of when I was in college. There was a local bar around my final semester where they did karaoke, and I loved performing it. And subsequently, in moving out to Vegas, one of the first big social outlets I had was meeting Paul and my friend Elaine Connor for the first time through a karaoke bar. They had said to me, "What do you like to do?" And I said, "Karaoke is one of my favorite things." And they said, "Well, we go to this bar every Friday night called Barbecue Masters, and we sing karaoke." And I met a very, cool, colorful group of people that I'm still very good friends with from that place, and it's something I still love to do. I mean, we've got adult, karaoke triple X, adult, movie hosted star karaoke, porn star hosted karaoke. I mean, it's Vegas, baby. Anything can happen here, and we've got porn star hosted karaoke. I love going to karaoke any chance I get. That's also going to be a part of my 30th birthday celebration on Friday night at Dino's Karaoke there with a bunch of friends, and I love to sing. I love to, do it in various styles, and more great songs that come out, I'm sure I'll be singing in the future. Next thing we have, big part of the 90s for me growing up was Popup Video. Popup Video was a show on VH1 where they would show music videos with little pop-up factoids, and it became this new thing, kind of like watching a DVD with a trivia track subtitle. It was just cool to learn all you could about music videos you'd seen all your life but never really knew the backstory, and they even put out a book for it called Pop This, a little mini gallery of pop-up video information. They've got a really interesting set of information here on a lot of the people that are in, like, here's a complete layout dedicated to Billy Idol's White Wedding and all the different factoids in there. They've got stuff about all the musicians. Let's see what I can find here. Yeah, we got one all about, Rod Stewart. And, we've got a great page layout in here all about Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody music video and all the interesting factoids about that too. But, this was something of, a fad, really. Pop-up video, first done on VH1, and I think they started doing this show about 1997, right at the height of a lot of pop music. I remember they showed a lot of Spice Girls videos on there a lot. Chumbawamba was also played on there, and it's just been a great journey. I don't know if they still do this show. If they do, please let me know where I can find it. Otherwise, I'm just kind of looking on YouTube for videos for it. So, Pop-Up Video, big part of my 30 years. Next thing we have, TV shows from Judd Apatow. In the late 90s, we got the show Freaks and Geeks on NBC, produced by Judd Apatow. And then on Fox, in the fall of 2001, we got Undeclared, and these are two shows that I absolutely loved when they were on, and it was really my introduction to Judd Apatow's work. It's, just an incredible set of shows that were gone too soon before they really had a chance to grow with their audiences. But the ones that stuck around for them, they're the ones that really got these DVDs out. Constant fan letters to Judd Apatow and the producers of the show to put these things out. And I mean, really, without Freaks and Geeks, really, we would not know people like James Franco, Seth Rogen, Linda Cardellini, Jason Segel, Martin Starr, Sam Levine, John Francis Daley. Without Undeclared, we would not know Jay Baruchel and what's that guy's name? Charlie Day? Not Charlie Day. I can't remember his name now, but this guy here, he's the guy who's actually on Sons of Anarchy. He's a British actor, and I can't remember his name, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, this show, Undeclared, I loved watching it, especially considering that it came on in a time where I was just starting my senior year of high school. And, it kind of gave me a look-see into what to expect, kind of, if I, go to college as an undeclared major. So these shows really just got a lot of people's careers off the ground, and without these, really, we would not have the 40-Year-Old Virgin, we wouldn't have had Anchorman, we wouldn't have had Knocked Up, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Walk Hard, we wouldn't have had This Is 40 or Funny People. So really, Judd Apatow TV shows that he produced, I love them. Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared. Check them out if you get a chance to. Very, very good stuff. Next we have, and this is a very good thing for, how I came up with these lists, we have the movie High Fidelity. This is a great John Cusack film, came out in, I believe it was 2000 or 1999, all about a guy who works at his own record shop, and he has a lot of trouble finding love in his life, but everything he does is pretty much created by way of a top 5 or top 10 list. And ever since I first saw this film, I got very much into making my own set of top 10 and top 5 lists. So without this film, I wouldn't have had, the kind of music persona I've had and the general attitude towards certain music in the world. And, it's a very funny movie. It's a very good John Cusack role. He put a lot of his actual self into this role. And again, it's just something I think anyone who's ever worked either as a radio DJ or has worked in a music shop should definitely check out. It's a very good movie. High fidelity. The reason why I make my top lists. Next thing we have, The Big Bang Theory. Probably one of the best TV shows to come along network television in a long time for me. It's, I consider myself a bit of a nerdy type. I'm not ashamed to admit it, but this show really gives people like me a chance to, go, yes, finally something for us. It's a show that CBS premiered in 2007, and my best friend Paul got me hooked on it when he showed me the very first episode that he got as a free iTunes download. And ever since, I've collected all the DVDs, watched every episode. I've read a lot of fan books that have been made on it, and of course, I have the Big Bang Theory posters here up on my wall right above my couch in my living room. And of course, the very first Big Bang Theory poster I owned, this one right here. Very happy about this one. This is actually what they used for the cover art for the second season DVD. I love it. The Big Bang Theory is one that I love to watch. Can't wait for the next season. It's a great show. Definitely recommend checking it out if you get a chance. It's on Thursday nights on CBS at, I believe, 8 o'clock. So check it out. Big Bang Theory. Next we have another big part of my childhood, Pee-wee Herman. Loved watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure. As I had mentioned earlier, we're Back to the Future. That was the second film I said if I could ever go back in time, go back to the summer of 1985 when both Back to the Future and Pee-wee's Big Adventure were playing on the big screen, and go check them out. And of course, I was fortunate to see Pee-wee's Big Adventure on the big screen last summer at Town Square with Paul and Kelly. But Saturday mornings on CBS were always, Saturday morning kids shows, and Pee-wee's Playhouse was one of them. And I loved watching that show. I had a Pee-wee's Playhouse play set that had a lot of the show's characters on in action figure form. And it's just a classic character that I love watching. And, of course there's a lot of backlash about him, about what happened in 1991. But you know what? The hell with it. He came back and he's done very well. Paul Reubens, aka Pee-wee Herman, has done a great job keeping the character alive with the public conscious, and he does a great job. I'm very happy to own a lot of what he's done. The whole Pee-wee's Playhouse series I have on DVD, and of course Pee-wee's Big Adventure I now own on Blu-ray. Very classic character, big part of my childhood. Pee-wee Herman. Next we have Las Vegas, where I am now. I've been living here almost 7 years, and I enjoy it. I've made a life for myself out here. People back east, kind of told me, but you don't gamble, you don't really go out and party. But you know what? It's a life. It's a life I've made for myself. I've made a lot of great friends. I've had a lot of fun living here, and will continue to do so. Las Vegas was a place where my parents always said they wanted to retire to. We're almost completely gone from the East Coast. They're working on selling a condo they have back east in Pennsylvania. But Las Vegas is pretty much now my home. It's become my home, and I love it. Got my friends here, got my girlfriend, got my parents. It's where I am. Las Vegas. 30 years, and I'm now living in Las Vegas. Next thing we have driving. Driving was a huge thing for me. When I finally got my driver's license and got behind the wheel of a car and got to drive for the very first time, it was exhilarating. That's a big part for a lot of people growing up, having the ability to get your driver's license and take your first drive. It's incredible, and it's a big part of growing up. In high school, I took driver's ed, and I had to retake the test. It was a tough test. The teacher I was pretty brutal with his quizzes and tests, but I made it through, and I love going on a lot of road trips. I've driven across the country from Pennsylvania to Las Vegas with my dad and my mom, and I've driven down to Florida, it's a real thrill. I love it. I just absolutely love going for a drive, exploring areas. There's still places here in Vegas I have to explore. But that would be another huge thing about my life, driving. Final thing, we made it to number 30. It's pretty much one of the big things I have right now, and I love it. I love her. That's my girlfriend Kelly. I don't need to expand on this because those of you who know me well know how much I love her. She knows how much I love her. That's it. Kelly. Really. 30 years. 30 memories. Woman I love. Woman who's my girlfriend. We'll continue to be together. Gonna move in together next year. Our very first apartment together. It's gonna be amazing. I love you. I love you, Kelly Curbo. That's it. That's all there is. 30 years. 30 memories. I'm Phil Smith. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care now.